Good morning, Prof. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
So, on the one hand, there are a lot of sort of doomsday predictions at the moment about imminent regular stage 6 load shedding that's on the cards. That's unconfirmed at this stage, but who knows what's likely to happen. On the other hand, we have the President saying in a very calm voice that Eskom's issues are under control and they will be solved. But South Africans are panicking. Businesses are closing. Daily life is becoming more and more difficult. Should we be panicking and running out to buy generators in a panicked state? Or is it something that requires a lot of thought, preparation and sort of research?
I don't think we should panic.
Okay.
I mean, it's never a good thing to panic. So I think we should calmly look at the situation. Load shedding has been gradually getting worse. We all noticed that and we feel it.
I think stage 8 was a big proclamation.
Yeah, so just when they introduced that as a fact that is on the scale, then already people get a bit worried.
Yeah.
The fact that we bumped into stage 6 unexpectedly before Christmas is another thing that makes people worried. But I think in reality, stage 2 is the more common one that we'll probably see, maybe occasionally going up to stage 4. But I don't really think it's going away. So we have to start changing how we think about the situation and put strategies in place on how you can actually mitigate.
Right. So in terms of mitigating the situation, a lot of people would say, well, purchasing a generator, is that not buying into the same fossil fuel state of mind that's got us to this problem situation in the first place? Should we be looking at alternatives like solar?
Personally, I would always recommend solar, but that's because I've got research interests in that and so on. So I think that's beautiful. It's a thing for the future. Buying a generator is a knee-jerk reaction. It's the cheapest way to get something going. It's very expensive to run, though. So after you've owned it for a year or so and you start looking at what you're paying for fuel and maintenance, you start realizing the generator isn't such a good
Let's just
solution.
get a perspective. For businesses, especially for manufacturing capacity, generators are hugely expensive. On the flip side, if someone were to be looking for a generator for a household, let's say average household of 4 people, what kind of sort of initial outlay would they be looking at?
You are looking at about a 5 kilowatt generator to power a typical household. Then you will be spending at least 10,000, if not more.
Okay.
And depends on the brand and those type of things. And then the fuel bills come, because the longer you run it and the more frequently you run it, the more you need to buy fuel. And that's not part of the initial cost. So after a while you start realizing this is very expensive, it's noisy, it stinks, it's not a pleasant thing to operate.
Absolutely.
As a stopgap, yes, it helps you to do that washing or cook the dinner or something, but in the long run it's not really an elegant solution and it will cost more.
We have heard Minister of Mineral Resource Gwede Mantashe saying that we need to look at an alternative generating body as sort of a stopgap for Eskom, and he mentioned in that discussion that gas was going to become a far more viable solution for South Africans. Is that something you see people buying into more and more as load shedding continues?
Where it is available, there are certain parts of Joburg, for instance, where you can get piped gas, which is a beautiful solution as part of your energy portfolio then. So you're not locked into just electricity, you can use the gas for other purposes, like cooking, heating up your water and so on. That type of diversity is beautiful. I would totally support that. I don't think that's the big discussion. I think the future plans are to use a lot more gas for generating into the Eskom grid, which is a different discussion actually. Which also makes sense if you can do it quickly and cheaply. My concern with the Eskom side of the solutions is those are big, and we've just seen the outcome of Medupi and Kutsile, and now it has increased the debt of Eskom, and it is not totally solving the problem. So the mega projects of that kind are always a bit of a concern. You would not really like to see them taking on more debt with the recent history that we see. So if it can be distributed directly to the consumers, the beauty with gas is it can cook or heat up when you need it. So it's almost a form of storing energy. If you look at solar for yourself, then you need to have batteries, which are expensive because the sun only shines during the day. And if you just look at the past month, we've had lots of cloud cover. So it's not the ideal conditions for just relying on solar. So if you dream of going off-grid just with solar, could be a wake-up call, what has recently happened.
Certainly a reality check for a lot of South Africans. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about the downside of generators in terms of noise pollution, being smelly, being very costly. And also the other side of that is that it's not a viable financial option for the majority of South Africans who are living from hand to mouth and struggling to make ends meet as is. And that sort of extra outlay, not only in terms of buying the generator itself, but the monthly fuel cost is not a solution. What are we left with there? Patience?
Yeah, to a large extent. And the other thing is to actually look at efficiency. So if we can generate light more efficiently using these LED light bulbs and things, and modern refrigerators, for instance, the latest generation, are far more efficient than the older ones. That saves electricity, which in the end helps Eskom, because they need to meet the demand. So if we switch on all our refrigerators and all our lights, but they are more efficient, we demand less. The conundrum that you run into then is that suddenly they sell less. So for them to generate the cash flow to pay back those debts, they need enough sales. So it's a bit of a chicken-egg problem.
A very rough catch-22 situation.
Yeah, so we can do those things, which helps us personally, but on the whole, it doesn't help Eskom that much, except that it removes the constraint, or it relaxes the constraint. So because they can't meet that, if we can use less, then they don't need to go into load shedding. But what we must think about is whenever they do load shedding, they're actually selling less, and that hits their bottom line.
Well, at this stage, look, I'm going to side with the majority of South Africans and say let's look after ourselves, let's be more efficient, let's sort of employ the latest technology to make our own lives easier, and Eskom needs to sort its own debt out. That's at this stage all we can do. But thank you very much for your time this afternoon.